Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this video. This is the elite of the Third Reich, and it's taken me a while to prepare for this video because when I first looked at this expansion set for Global War 1936 to 1945, I didn't know how to play the game yet, and I looked at this and I thought, wow, that's just way too complicated. I wasn't sure how you could actually incorporate it into the game successfully, because you know, like, you need room for this as far as I was concerned. Like there's a lot to it. Just playing this expansion set was a game in itself, it seemed to me. But really, it took a lot of thought, is what it did, for me to wrap my head around it, and organization. So once I started thinking about it, I started thinking, well, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and it started to come together slowly but surely. Anyway, it's taken quite a while. I've had this set for a while. But once you see what I've done, I think that you will agree that this is probably, or quite possibly, the best expansion set that they have. I mean, there's some good ones, like the Spanish Civil War. I think that one is essential to playing this game. Turkey at War is a great one. The Partisans is awesome. But this one here is, especially if you like playing Germany, and I know a lot of people do. I know, like my Axis and Allies video, anything that says Germany in the title, twice as many views as all the other videos. Like, people just gravitate towards Germany because they were an interesting country. You know, like they were the ones really that started the war, at least in the western part of the world anyway. And you know, like, they were the aggressors, and they were fascinating to study even this many years later. And so I think that that's why people gravitate towards German things. And this expansion set is, it gives you a really, really good insight into what made them tick. So what we're looking at is the elite of the Third Reich, and so what they are, what we're going to look at here is the waffen-ss, the Schutzstaffel. Now, I've been doing a lot of research, and the SS wasn't just one thing. Like their leader Himmler, he was a particularly evil man, and you know, like we think of the SS mostly as these troops that you see here, you know, that fight on the front lines and that were feared by their enemies and everything. But there were other parts to that organization too, and that should be noted. Like there was the Gestapo, and there was the concentration camp guards. But we're not going to be looking at those things. What we're going to be looking at is just the waffen-ss, and they were the units that fought in the war. So that's what we're going to be looking at here, and that's what you get in this set. You don't get a whole bunch of Gestapo in here. Chips for Gestapo or anything. You can get those at historical board gaming, but what we're looking at specifically is the waffen-ss, and those are the troops that fought in the war against other countries, not against not exterminating Jews and things like that, like the concentration camp guards were. So let's get into it here now. What you basically get with this set here, let's just get into this. You get a whole bunch of chips is what you get. That's all you get is chips. And the chips are what you put units on, and the units are they have expanded capabilities. Most notably is +1 in attack and defense. That's usually what you get with these. So let me just read what it says here. In this expansion, we will present both a basic and advanced version to suit your style of play. In the basic version, Germany can build up to 35 unique SS units of different types based on their historic availability. In the advanced version, we allow you to follow the historical progression of each unit as they evolve to different types. So infantry, mechanized armor, etc. during the war. Now, we're just going to do the basic one in this video. Maybe at some point in the future I'll do the advanced one, but I think once you see what I mean, like we'll just do the basic one, then you can kind of see how the advanced one's going to go. And we'll talk about the advanced one a little bit, but we're just going to stick with the basic one because that's a big handful in and of itself, okay? So let's just take a look here. Now, when you look at the stats for the SS divisions, so you've got your militia, you've got your infantry, you've got your mountain infantry, cavalry, motorized, mechanized, which turn into panzer grenadiers, and your armor. If you look at the numbers here, it's basically what they are is +1 attack and +1 defense. And when it comes to armor, the reason they don't list them all is they just say base unit is because there's several different kinds of armor, right? There's light, medium, and heavy. And then there's different types of heavy armor, as you will see in a bit. So they're all going to move the same. It's just that the costs will be different. Now, the SS militia can move, but only by strategic rail movement. The mountain gain their +1 defense in mountains and never suffer an attacker penalty. And the mechanized can blitz without pairing with armor. And that's something that you can just buy in a normal game though, right? We're used to that if we've played this game before. So, the rules on how to play. But before we do, let's just take a look at what we're getting here and how I've managed to organize this. So this is my German corner over here. So we've got, from Monk there, we've got some stuff on the wall to help you out. And here's the German box over here, right? This is where all my German units are and everything. And you think, wow, that's a lot, you know, but this is something else entirely. This is what I've been working on. Let's just pull it down from the wall here and take a look at it. So this is my expansions box for Germany, because probably close to half of the expansion sets are German ones. So you look in here and there's all the different expansion sets. Like this one is the Fall of the Reich, and we have Group Monsoon and New Schwabenland and Croatia. We've got the Partisans here, Atlantis. There's the what's the ship one called? Sorry guys, I'm drawing a blank here. Anyway, these are the units that you get for Sea Lion. There's also other units for Sea Lion, of course, but these are just the German units. And by the way, while I'm talking about that, somebody asked me a question about this. They wondered if you could buy any extra of these things here. These things you can actually land with your infantry on an amphibious assault. And at the time I said no, but since then I have noticed that on Historical Board Gaming's shop on Shapeways, you can buy those. And I've got some in the mail right now. They were shipped 2 days ago, I think. So I'm looking forward to getting those. But of course, you're going to have to paint them because I think they come in white. But so just so you know, if you go to Shapeways and you type in Historical Board Gaming and click on Shop, then you can find where they have all kinds of units. You know, like a lot of the 3D printed units that Historical Board Gaming hasn't been stocking. Most of them you can find there. You got to paint them when you get them, right? So what else we got here? Oh, here's the Africa Corps units and the Africa Corps chips. Of course, these were all painted up really nicely by my friend Sired Blood, who has a tournament coming up in a couple months. Unfortunately, I can't go. But anyway, this is why I put it together, and this is why I put it together like this, is because this is where these are the elite of the Reich. All these boxes up here. Now, the problem that I saw with this more than anything was that all you got was these chips, right? And you were supposed to put your units on top. Well, it wasn't just a handful of chips. It was you'd have to put both your hands together, unless you had huge hands, of course. But it was just a huge mound of chips. I think 60 of them. And so, you know, like it would take you an extra hour or two to play this game, and people would be sitting around waiting for you as you're flipping through, trying to find the 13th SS chip. You know what I mean? So what I've done is I've organized them, and I've glued them on like this. The type of unit that it needs to be. And we're going to go through those after we go through the rules. But I've glued them on so that and they go 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and just so you could find them easily. And then if you're smart enough to put them back in the right spot, then you're not going to get screwed up by that. And then up here, this is all the different pages put together, the pages that we're going to be going through. But all the pages put together, but only the tables in the pages. That's why it looks a little odd, because the pages weren't all the same color. And so it looks a little bit odd. And this is on that never tear stuff, that menu stuff. And there's the other side of it there. I just glued all of the tables together so that I wouldn't have to keep going to the instructions to find out what to do next. And this, to play this, you're going to need to be very organized, because you look at how much space you got here. Like that's about all you got for space. And typically that's what you're going to have for space too. With a board this size, 4x8, it's likely that you're not going to have any table space, or hardly any table space if you do. And so where are you going to spread all this out, right? So you kind of need something like this, and you don't want pages and pages full of instructions, because when you play this, you're going to need to know what you're doing before you do it. Sometimes 2 or 3 turns in advance, because you have to be at a certain place at a certain time in order to take advantage of this, especially if you're playing the advanced rules, and we're not even going to get into the advanced rules much here. But you have to be ready to purchase that chip when it's time to purchase it, right? Otherwise, you lose out on that particular SS unit. And so that's why you need to be organized, and that's why I've done the chart so that you can just look. Okay, let me see what's coming up here, and then you look down the road, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But in 1939, I need to make sure that I'm doing these things in 1939. That I've done either the preparation for that in 1938 or 1937, that I'm in a certain place at a certain time. And so this is how I'm doing it. I've got the chart, and I've got everything so that I can find it easily, and I've got the units already glued onto the chips, and some of them aren't. You can see that, and there's a reason for that, and I'll show you what that reason is. But let's just get rid of this and go back to the rules for now. Let me just put this back where it was. Okay, so the rules. Now, availability. On specific turns, players get the option to place SS markers under certain types of units, and in some cases may get entire SS units for free. If a player cannot meet all of the requirements to place the SS marker, such as owning the zone or having the correct type of unit present, the opportunity is lost. You see, that's what I was just talking about, right? And so that's why you need to be organized to play this. Otherwise, like you're gonna be lost. If you got a guy playing this game for the first time, even if he played Axis and Allies for 30 years, don't let him play this expansion set, because you will be waiting for him all day to take his turn. Okay, so how do you place them? So, placement. When the rules state that you can place an SS marker beneath a specific type of unit, that type of unit must be present in the zone to place the SS marker. Note that this could be a unit that was already there, or a unit that was placed in the place units phase. All the units are placed in place units and collect income phase, and upgrades are paid for at time of placement. So in other words, you need to hold back some money. Let's say you've got 30 bucks. If you were going to place something, or if you were going to upgrade something, because in a lot of cases you're paying an extra IPP to upgrade your infantry to a mechanized infantry or something, right? Then you need to have that money at the end of your turn so that you can actually do that. That's what I mean about being organized. You need to know how much money that you're going to need at the end of your turn, not just at the beginning of your turn. And you have to have the unit in place by then. Okay, so elimination. Once an SS unit is eliminated, remove the marker from the game. It can no longer be upgraded and cannot be rebuilt. So it just goes back in the box that I showed you there, or whatever you're putting it in. So upgrades. Sometimes SS units can be upgraded. For example, a rule might ask you to change an infantry to a mechanized infantry. In these instances, you will simply change the piece on the top of the marker to reflect a different type of unit. These are free upgrades. Upgrades are done during the place units and collect income phase. I think that that's mostly going to happen in the advanced version. when you've already got an SS unit and you're changing it into a different one. Okay, so supply path. Many units require being in a supply path to be upgraded. This means the unit has to be able to trace a path from its current location along an undamaged railway to a major factory in the home nation. The path may go over sea zones so long as it enters and leaves land zones through a naval base or shipyard that is not blockaded or damaged. The presence of enemy ships does not block a supply path. So yeah, so you can go right through enemy ships, so you don't have to worry about those. So next page. Yeah. Just move that right out of the way. Now here we're starting to get into the units. I'm going to, in the description box of this video, I'm going to link to another video because one of the things that I did in preparation for making this video was to watch a video on the SS, and it kind of gave it did give the history of the SS right from the very beginning up until the end of the war, when many of them were being prosecuted. It even interviewed some of them, most of them which denied what they did. But anyway, it's really informative, and it takes about 45 minutes to watch this video. But I'm going to link to that because I find that when you see something like that, then you can actually put it into perspective, or it makes the units that we're going to put on the board come alive, because you can understand who that little plastic chip there, what that actually represents. You know, like this first chip here, this is where the SS all began. So like back in the 1920s, you've heard of the brown shirts before. The brown shirts were part of the Nazi party. They were like the strong arm of the Nazi party. And they were there to supposedly protect the Nazi party. And this is before they came to power. So they would basically intimidate people and also, you know, like keep their own members from being picked up by police or whatever. Like they would actually clash with police and stuff. But then they created another wing, and it was instead of being brown shirts, they gave them black uniforms and called them the Schutzstaffen, which was the SS. Now, that first unit that they created is this one right here. And this is what I mean. Like you will find in the video history of just about everything, all of these units. But from that first unit, everything else was created after that when it comes to the SS. And there's a pretty detailed history in this video. And you find lots of videos, but I found this one particularly good because it condensed it down, you know, like it didn't give you a whole lot of information that you didn't need. It just gave you the basic information, right? And so it only took 45 minutes to do the whole history of them. So that first unit there, it was the Liebstandarte Adolf Hitler division. That was created in the beginning just solely to protect Adolf Hitler. Like they had the brown shirts to protect the Nazi party, but they had these black shirted guys just to protect Hitler, so that nothing could happen to him. And like the unit that was created, it had to be the people that were in the unit had to be of a certain quality. Like they all had to be physically fit. They all had to be a certain height. They all had to be of Aryan race. They could not have any Jewish blood in them whatsoever, or any other blood for that matter. They had to be like Germanic, put it that way. They had to be Aryan, and so their histories had to be traced back. And then they were taught in such a way that they were indoctrinated. Like they were taught that they were superior to everyone. And that's really how they became such an elite unit. They believed that they were superior, and so that made them more aggressive. That made them dehumanize others, for one thing, and so they were able to commit many atrocities and justify it in their own minds. But also it made them believe that they were invincible. And so they would take a lot of chances that nobody else would take, right? They were extremely aggressive on the battlefield. And and because of that, they were very successful. And it's because of that that we have this set, right? And that's why you have +1 attack and +1 defense. Like, these guys were feared on the battlefield because of how committed they were. And you know, like, they really came into their own during Barbarossa, because that was really disgusting. Like, they really didn't think much of the Russian people, and so the atrocities they committed against the Russian people were so horrific that they couldn't surrender. None of the SS divisions could have surrendered because of what the Russians would have done to them. And so they fought right to the death. And of course, when you do that, then you really take down the other side's troops pretty good, especially when you're elite fighters like these guys were. Like, these guys would not be captured. They would fight right to the last man, and they were feared. Respected, yes, but more feared than anything. They were very, very well trained, and it all started with that first division there, the Adolf Hitler division, and that kind of became like the other waffen-ss divisions kind of laughed at them because they were just pretty, you know what I mean? Their uniforms were never out of place. They did a lot of marching, you know, ceremonial stuff and everything, but they didn't do a lot of fighting. So all the other troops laughed at them because they weren't really fighters. They were just guys that marched and stuff like that. I'm sure they did their share of fighting during the war, but not as much as the other guys did. So anyway, that's the first one, and let me just grab this here. We're just going to go through all of these. Now, I might as well just take these instructions away, and we'll go through it on this other thing here that I made up, because it's got everything on it that this one has. So let's just move this one out of the way. That'll get rid of some of the pages for us. Okay, so and we'll get this. Okay, so this is the first one here. This is and this is just a regular Axis and Allies dude that I put on here, because what it really was a militia. So you place that token there under a militia or infantry, and it's a 2-3 unit, so it attacks at 2 and defends at 3. So basically he's just a militia, and that's what I've done with my militia, is use Axis and Allies players, or Axis and Allies infantry for militia. And he does not move. Like, he was supposed to stay in Berlin. He gets placed in Berlin at the start of the game, so in 1936, or if you're starting the game in 1939, he gets placed in Berlin at the start of the game. And that's the only thing that happens until 1939. So you've got lots of time to prepare when you're, if you're playing this set, you've got lots of time to prepare for 1939 and what comes after that. So that's the first guy. And let me just grab the first 5 out of here. There we go. Okay, so the second one that was created, you place that anywhere in the German home country on January 1939 turn, or July 1939 in the setup. So anywhere in the home country, the 2nd SS Panzer pay 1 IPP to place the 2nd SS division between any light or medium armor unit. Okay, so that's one of these things where it's just a chip. Like, I didn't glue anything on there because I don't know if I'm going to place it underneath a light tank or a medium tank. And so there's a few of those chips in there where they have a choice. And so that's what I've done, is I've just left the chip bare. If it, like, a lot of them just say under a medium tank, and you will see that coming up here. So I've glued the medium tank to it because I've got lots of extra units, right? And I bought a few more of some of the other types of things that I needed, like the infantry. I've used a specific type of infantry for this set. So anyway, that's what the second is in the German home country under a light or medium armor. Now the third, any turn after Germany has declared war on Poland, anywhere in the German home country, you get the 3rd SS Panzer, pay 1 IPP to place the 3rd SS between any light or medium armor. So again, same thing, 3rd armor chip, light or medium armor. And the 4th. Now, these don't all go necessarily in order, so I've got to read down to find where the 4th is. There it is. Okay, sorry, this one is right there. Any turn that Warsaw is German aligned or controlled. So you place anywhere in the German home country, pay 1 IPP to place the 4th SS marker beneath a mechanized infantry. This unit becomes an SS Panzer Grenadier unit. Okay, so let me just grab a... So this is what I'm talking about. You would have to have one of these somewhere in your German home country. A mechanized infantry. And what you're going to do is you're going to pay 1 IPP and you're going to replace it with this here. This is the 4th Panzer Grenadier unit. Now I was using the Great Coat Infantry for the Panzer Grenadiers, but I've decided to use the actual Panzer Grenadier unit from the America game, because I was going to use the infantry for regular infantry in this set, or for SS infantry, I mean. So this is the Panzer Grenadier sculpt, and I hadn't used him yet, and I was wondering what I was going to use him for. And there you go. Now I'm using him for what he was meant to be, Panzer Grenadier, and I've got a bunch of these. You do have to paint them though, because they come in gray for the America set. So there you go. You exchange the mechanized infantry for that. And then the fifth marker there. Any turn both Belgium and Netherlands or both Denmark and Norway are German aligned or possessed. So in Western Germany, pay 1 IPP to place the 5th SS marker beneath a medium armor unit. And so this one I've just painted on, or glued on there. So you get you take your tank off, your medium tank off, and you put this one on that's on the chip. Or more likely what you're going to do is that you've got a medium tank in Western Germany, you would just take that marker and you would place it underneath there. So that's the 5th. Let me just grab the next set out here. So the 6th is, where are we here? Here we go, down here. That's an SS Mountain Infantry. Place 1 free SS Mountain Infantry in Helsinki with a 6th SS marker beneath it. So that's when any turn that Finland is German aligned. So you get a free one. And I bought some extra, like this is one of the reasons it took me a while, because I had to order some extra mountain infantry. I didn't want to just place them because on the other mountain infantry that I had, because I've already glued them onto mountain infantry chips, right? Okay, 7th. The 7th is any turn after Yugoslavia is German aligned or possessed, and that goes for the 7th, the 13th, and it says 31st, but that's actually 32nd. You'll find in the instructions that the 31st is listed twice, and there's no 32nd listed. And so I went and Googled both of them, both of those units, and found that indeed it's the 32nd, and the 31st you'll see later what that is. So on this one here, where we are, so there's the 7th. There's another mountain infantry, and so you can pay 3 IPP to place up to 4 SS infantry divisions in Yugoslavia. Now I assume that these are all mountain divisions, right? But because, I mean, what good would that do you? Infantry already costs 3 IPP. So that's a pretty good deal. And you don't have to buy all 4 of them, but you could say buy 2 of them and put 2 of them in there. But when you look at the map over here, like this is what we're talking about, is Yugoslavia down here. These are all mountains down here. So I tell you, when you go to take Yugoslavia, make sure that you have an extra 12 IPP, so that when you take it, then you can go and spend 12 IPP and get 4 extra mountain infantry that are SS. Like, these are not just mountain infantry; these are +1 attack and defense mountain infantry. Okay, so that's the 7th. Now the 8th is a cavalry unit. So I bought a few more cavalry units again, so I could play with regular cavalry units. I didn't want to have to unstick them from the chip if I wasn't using them right. Okay, so place 1 free SS cavalry unit in Romania with the SS marker underneath it, and that's any turn that Romania is German aligned and Germany is at war with the USSR. So there you go. You get a free one, that one. So the 9th. And you can see they all have names too. It's the 8th, and it's Florian Geyer Division. I'm not going to go through all the names because my German pronunciation sucks, as you well know. So the 9th is just a chip, and so is the 10th. And what they are, pay 1 IPP to place the 9th SS marker beneath any light, medium, or heavy armor unit. And again, same with the 10th. And so I didn't glue them on there because I don't know what I want to do. There's light, medium, and heavy armor. But obviously, if you were going to place the heavy armor, you would have to have developed heavy armor technology. This doesn't give you the right to throw a heavy armor unit on there if you haven't developed heavy armor technology yet. Okay, but the other thing is, like you're thinking heavy armor as in a Tiger tank, right? But we also have all of these other heavy armor units if you have bought the Might of the Reich set. And you'll find at the end of the instructions that you download from of this set here that it's compatible with these. Like you would pay an extra 2 IPP for any armor unit, right? And that would make each one of them plus and minus. So there you go. With this one here, with the 9th and 10th, you can upgrade any one of your you can pay 1 IPP to upgrade any one of them to put this chip underneath, and that makes them +1. All right, what's next? Did we go through them all? Okay, that's the 10th. All right, so the next 5, that would be 11 to 15. 11. I think we got to go back for number 11. Yeah, there we go. Western Germany. And that's at any turn both Belgium and Netherlands or Denmark and Norway are German aligned possessed. So pay 1 IPP to place the 11th SS marker beneath an infantry unit. And there we go there. Like I've used these historical board gaming Great Code Infantry. I had to buy a bunch more of those. Because what I'll do is I'll have an infantry there, like one of my custom infantry. Let me just grab any one here. So you already had to have one there. So there's my custom infantry. So he's already in Western. And rather than just place him on top of a chip like this, and then have to move the chip around and stuff like I just hate doing that, right? Then what I'll do is I'll take him off the board and I'll put this on. I just thought that would be a lot easier to organize. And when you're looking into the box there, like I can look in there and say, okay, there's some mountain infantry. That's that guy there. That's the one, right? It's easier to find the chip that way as well. And it's a little more expensive, like I said, but you know, it's up to you. You can do it any way you want. This is just the way that I chose to do it. So the 12th, that's SS armor. Pay 1 IPP to place the 12th SS marker between any light, medium, or heavy infantry. So again, that was like we did before with I already showed you any kind of armored unit. Basically, you can place that underneath if you pay 1 IPP. The 13th, now that was that one up in Yugoslavia up here. So any turn Yugoslavia is German aligned or possessed, that could be one of the guys that you paid $3 for. The 14th, place 1 IP or pay 1 IPP to place the 14th infantry marker beneath an infantry unit, and that location is I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Donoslaske. That's where is that? That's this one right here. That's this territory right here in Poland, right? So you would have to own that territory, and you would have to have an infantry unit there. So that's that's what I'm talking about. Is you need to have an infantry unit there, and with all of these units here, with this table that we're looking at right now, and that's the 9th marker to the 17th marker. It says any turn in 1943, Germany may upgrade up to 4 units on each of the 2 turns in 1933 as follows. So you can only do 4 out of these 7, and you've got 2 turns to do it. So you can do 2 on one turn, like in in January of 43 and 2 on July of 43. So that's what I mean, that you have to be prepared. You have to know what you want to do. You have to see, okay, what's in my best interest to do. Like, it doesn't do any good just to upgrade the first two. It might be the last two, or it might be the middle one, right? But anyway, you have to make a choice with all of these. Okay, so where were we? The 14th. So place that on Donald Lasky. So if you don't have one on Donald Lasky, then you wouldn't do that. And 15th. That's the Latvian division. Pay 1 IPP to place the 15th SS marker between an infantry unit. So that would be in Latvia. You'd have to have a dude in Latvia in order to do that. And then 17th. Wait a minute. Where's 13th? I missed 13th. Oh, the 13th. That was yeah, that was that guy up there. Okay, so that's 15th. Okay, no, the next 5. That's why I was screwed up. I was looking, where's my 16th? Okay. So the 16th marker. Now this is an open marker. So pay 1 IPP to place the 16th SS marker between a motorized or mechanized infantry, and that holds true for the 16th and the 17th. And one of them is in Berlin and one of them is in Paris. So remember what I said there, you can only do 4 of those 7, right? So if you had, let me see here, I had them, there we go. So you'd have to have a motorized or a mechanized unit in Paris or Berlin. And if it was motorized, then you would just put the motorized on top of the chip. But remember, if you're upgrading a mechanized, then you would upgrade it to a Panzer Grenadier. And you don't have to have a separate sculpt for this. You can just take your mechanized and put them on there. That's also a Panzer Grenadier. I just thought it would be cool to give it its own sculpt like this. So it's up to you what you want to do. This is the same as this. But with me, I would just take this unit off and put this one on. Okay? So that's the 16th and the 17th. Now, let's flip this sucker over. Okay, so moving on to the 18th and 19th, it says, any turn in 1944, Germany may place or upgrade up to 4 units in each of the 2 turns in 1944, so long as they have lost a combined total of 8 IPP worth of land units during its prior turn. They may choose to build or upgrade units as follows. And then we're going to go through the units. But see, that's the key right there. You have to have lost a total of 8 IPP worth of land. So when you're leading up to that, if you want to be able to place these units, you kind of got to go and take something that you know the other guy's going to want to take back. You know what I mean? Like put yourself out there. You know, like spend a little bit extra to go and take something right next to Moscow, even though Moscow is just totally filled with guys and they're going to take it back. You know what I mean? You've got to figure out a way for you to lose 8 IPP in order for you to be able to do these next ones. And so this is going to take a lot of thought. Like I said, it's going to take a lot of organization on your part if you're playing the German. It's not just enough to be organized where you're putting your stuff, and that's why I've put my stuff in little compartments like I have, so that I can spend my time looking at ways to do this instead of looking for the chips in order to place them, right? So the 18th in Hungary, pay 1 IPP to place the 18th marker between beneath any infantry unit. So I would take my infantry unit off and I would put this guy on the 18th. And 19th, same thing, but that's in Latvia. 20th, same thing, but that is in Estonia. So there's all these infantry units. So you would just you would pay your 1 IPP and you would replace those ones. And it's worth it. Like when you think about +1 attack and defense, it's definitely worth it. So 21st. Now that's a free SS in Albania. Where are we here? 21st. There's your 21st marker. So you get this guy in Albania. Now, when you're looking at these, you could pay one to do your infantry, but wouldn't it be better if you owned Albania to place one free SS infantry unit marker there, right? So that's something that I would do rather than number 20, you know, probably, is pay one IPP to place, or to change a guy in Estonia, right? Or to place the marker underneath a guy. So there you go. Pays to look at these things. 22nd, pay one IPP to place a 22nd SS marker beneath a cavalry unit. So there's your cavalry unit. And if you think that's going to be helpful for you, and that's in Romania. And then this one here is a little curious to me. Turin. Place one free 24th SS Mountain Infantry Division in Turin, if Turin is Germany possessed. So let's see, where is he here? Okay, this is what we're looking at, is this guy here, Mountain Infantry. Now, I don't know why that would be, why Turin would be, like, it seems to me that you would be liberating that, because this is an Italian territory here. So I wonder if that's supposed to be German possessed, or if that's Axis possessed. Like, would that be okay if the Italians, if you were just getting it back for the Italians, or would that only work if Italy had lost its capital and then and lost Turin? So then you went and took Turin, so Turin is German, and then you'd have to take the capital back in order for Turin to be returned to the Italians. I'm not sure about that, but that's something I guess you'll have to struggle with yourself, like I am. If you know the answer to that, then please let me know in the comment section of this video. So what's next? The 23rd. The 23rd was one of those mountain divisions. Remember we were talking about in Yugoslavia back there a while ago on the other side of the page? That's that guy there. He's one of the guys that you can place. And the 25th. Oh, the 24th was Turin, yeah. The 25th. Pay one APP to place the 25th marker between the mechanized infantry in Hungary. So there we go. That guy becomes a Panzer Grenadier. And that's in Hungary. And that's definitely worth it, because these guys can blitz without using a tank. So yeah, much better than your mechanized infantry. So moving on to the next 5. 26th, pay one IPP to place the 25th SS marker between the mechanized infantry in Hungary. And so that's kind of the same as the last one, right? It's just making yourself a Panzer Grenadier. 27th, pay one IPP to place an SS marker beneath a medium armor. And that would no doubt be the Netherlands, yeah. And then 28th, pay one IPP to place a 28th SS mark beneath a mechanized infantry. So again, you're making yourself a Panzer Grenadier. 29th, pay one IPP to place the 29th beneath a mechanized infantry in the Ukraine. Again, you get a Panzer Grenadier. And the 30th. That's Belarus, Russia. And you would, again, put it beneath the mechanized infantry, and you would get an SS Panzer Grenadier. So again, just to reiterate though, you would have to lose 8 IPP, and then you only get to choose 4 of these, 2 on one turn and 2 on the other turn in 1944 in order to place these units. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to place them, or you might only be able to place them on one of those turns and not the other, because you would have to lose, like you had in the beginning of 43, maybe you could place them, but then you didn't lose 8 that time. And that's something that you can think about too when you're the Russians or when you're the Allies, is maybe I don't want to take 8 IPPs worth of territory off this guy this turn. It's up to you. Like, you have to look at it, what's going on in the game. Of course, we're getting near the end of the game by then, and you might need to take territories off them in order to accomplish your goals, right? And you'll find you're finding here that you're getting more and more stuff as the game gets near the end, and that's usually what I find anywhere where the Russians and the Allies have come across and they're starting to squeeze Germany. So then you're starting to get a lot more units, right? So where are we now? We should be at the 31st, right? Let's just dig out the next 5 units. So the 31st, that was, okay, yeah, this is the one that I was talking about. So the 31st would have said earlier that it was a mountain unit in Yugoslavia. I don't believe that that's true. I think that the 31st is, sorry, that's wrong too. Where am I? Oh, here we go, way down here. So you beneath a mechanized unit in Hungary. So the 31st is in Hungary, not in Yugoslavia. At least I believe that that's true based on my research. So you'd get change your mechanized for Panzer Grenadier. And the 32nd, now that would be that mountain infantry in Yugoslavia. So where are we? Or wait a minute. No, that's wrong. The 32nd is, I've got some notes here. Yeah, no, the 32nd would be the mountain infantry, that's right. So I've got this this tip wrong. Okay, so the 33rd now, place 1 IPP, you get to place the marker beneath the mechanized infantry in Vichy, France. So, you would have to have a guy in Vichy, France, I guess. A mechanized infantry in Vichy, France, and you could turn him into Panzer Grenadier. 34th. Okay, this is where I need my notes. Because they give you some chips, but they don't give you anything. They don't tell you what to do with those. So I did go on the internet, like I said, and I did some research. And it seems the 34th, what they were, there wasn't just SS that were Germans. There were also SS that came from other countries. Like they signed up to come to be from other countries. But they weren't full-strength units. You know what I mean? So this one in Holland here, what I've done is I've placed a militia on the 34th chip. You'll get the 34th chip but no instructions. And there's 3 of those chips like that. So in looking at it, they were basically Dutch volunteers. They volunteered to be in the SS, and so they were a unit. And what I did was I made them a militia unit because they weren't a full-strength unit. And there's something to do with militia units that we're going to get into at the end. It has to do with partisans. But you can imagine these guys were not welcome after Holland was liberated. These guys that had joined the SS. So anyway, what I'm saying is that when you take over the Netherlands, you get to place this guy for free in there. And he's attack 2 and defense 3, and he doesn't move, and he stays in Holland until he dies, and then he's taken off. Right? And the 32nd, like I said, that was going to be that mountain infantry in, I'm going to leave that one out so I change him properly. Now the 35th was, that was an SS police division around Berlin. So what I've done is I've put, again, a militia, because they weren't a full-strength unit either. So they were the police in Berlin, and they did fight. Like when Berlin was under siege, of course, they would have fought to defend the homeland, but they weren't very strong. They were lightly armored, and they weren't a very strong division. So again, I've made them a militia, attack 2, defend 3, and I'm saying throw them on in 1945. in January of 1945. But you can make up your own rules, or you can just leave those chips blank. That's up to you, right? So, 36 and on. Let's get those chips out. So the 36 was placed one free SS division in Warsaw. And it says, any turn in 1945, Germany may place several units if it lost 15 IPPs worth of land units or more since its last turn. So, you took your turn in July of 1945, and then since that time, you lose 15 or more IPP worth of stuff. That means you get to do any one of these three things here on this table here. And this one actually has a lot of them. It's not just three things. So on Warsaw, you could place one free SS infantry, and that's the 35th. Where did I put them? I just had them. Oh, here he is. Sorry, I'm looking around for him. Okay, so you get to place this guy for free if you lost 15 IPP worth of stuff in the previous turn. In Berlin, the 39th, you pay 1 IPP to place the 39th marker beneath a mountain infantry. Okay, so you can take your mountain infantry if you have one in Berlin, and you can place the marker beneath them. Or if you're me, then you would replace mountain infantry with this mountain infantry in Berlin in 1945 if you want. Like you can do as many of these as you want. It's not like the other ones where you had to do only 2 of them. It says you can do all of them if you want, but that's going to cost you a bit of money too, right? Like except for that free SS infantry in Warsaw. So in Berlin, chips number 38 and then 40 to 45. So that's this chip here, 38, and then I'll just show you here. Like I've got that whole slot filled out, 40 to 45. Like there's the 45th there. These are all infantry, right? Play 1 IPP for up to 7 total SS markers. The 38th and from 38th to 45th placed beneath infantry in Berlin. So all of these would go in Berlin. 38th, 39th, 40th, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. And there's the 37th. Okay, that's another one that's not listed. It's just an open chip, right? They didn't give you anything. Now, they were a volunteer cavalry unit in Hungary near the end of the war. So, but they were also understrength, and that could be why Historical Board Gaming didn't create something for them. But what I'm saying is you could place that in 1945 in Hungary if you own Hungary still. And then you can make your own conditions, like if you pay for it or whatever, right? If Germany's losing or whatever, then there's the 37th, and there's a cavalry marker there. But anyway, they were a cavalry unit in Hungary. And so you can make up your own rules. And I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. I just know that they were a late war unit, and they were under strength. And I think that's all of those ones. And I think that's all. Oh, there are a few more units here. So special divisions. There are 7 additional special divisions Germany can acquire as indicated on the table below. So we have a bunch of these here. This is one where I actually have 7 units in one, because these are all the special units. So instead of just 5, I've got 7. So 2 of them are, you can place these, pay 1 IPP and place these beneath airborne markers. So these are SS Fallschirmjäger, the 500th and 600th parachute divisions. And I would imagine, it didn't list this in that table that I showed you, but I would imagine these are +1 attack and defense as well, even though it didn't list it. I'm sure that they're +1 attack and defense. And then you have these, your 1st and 2nd Cossack Those were cavalry divisions. Excuse me. In Donetsk, Kuban, Germany places 2 elite 4-3 cavalry unit during the place units and collect income phase that it is at war with the USSR and possess the Donetsk Kuban territory. I think that is, where is that? Do you know? Here, right here. That's this territory right here. So, you would have to own that territory. So yeah, if you can go and get that territory, it looks like you get two free cavalry there. I don't see anything that contradicts that. And then there are 3 other elite units, and they are open ones. So these are all in Berlin that you would place these. Germany may upgrade 3 advanced armor or Tiger IE to SS Panzer divisions for 2 IPP each. These units gain +1 attack and defense. So these are heavy armor units. Now, the same as what I said earlier, like you might only be playing with Tigers. So if you've got a Tiger in Germany, you can place them on there if you pay 1 IPP. 2 IPPs, and then he's +1 attack and defense. And you could do that with 2 other Tigers as well. But if you're using these other units, you can use any type. Like there's a King Tiger, right? If you're using these other units, any type of heavy armor, and of course you'd all have to have the heavy armor technology in order to do that. So you pay $2, and you can place these on these chips, and that will make them +1 attack and defense. Alrighty. Now, at the end here, I printed this off on here as well, and I wish I would have had more space because there's one table that I'm missing. Let's just get that other table out first, okay? Because I want to show you there are actually some more. Okay, so here it is here. And the reason I didn't print it on here is because you look at how big this table is. Like it's a whole page long. And basically you place something for free on these territories after you take them. It's called Hypothetical SS divisions. Germany may place the following free divisions in their place units and collect income phase of the first turn they possess any of the following land zones. Place the new piece and SS marker as noted below. So let me just move this out of the way and I'll show you. So for instance, you take London, you place a free SS in London of SS infantry, okay? And Madrid, you place a free SS infantry. Switzerland, you would place a mountain infantry. Greece, mountain infantry. Moscow, medium armor. Sweden, mountain infantry. New York, infantry. Washington, medium armor. San Francisco, infantry. Ottawa, infantry. Argentina, in any of the territories in Argentina, an SS infantry. And Brazil, again, any of the 3 territories, you place a free SS infantry. And so what I've done here, let me just show you this. This is my box here. That's these last 2 slots here. So these are all SS infantry, and they're just on regular SS chips. They don't have a number on them. Those are just SS infantry. And these are SS mountain infantry. And I've got SS medium armor, because those are the only 3 kinds that you might throw on. And I don't know that I need to print that out, but it's just like basically if you take, these are mostly capitals, right? It would be easy to memorize this table here. Like, okay, London, okay, I know I got to do that. So you might have to look in your instructions. Okay, oh, it's an infantry. You know, like just if you're taking something major, right? But I at the same time, I might make another one of these charts up that I have over here. I might make another chart like this. And you see all the other things down here. Now, these all have tables too, right? So what I might do is what I did with these is take screenshots, and I took screenshots and screenshots, and I pasted them all together, right? So I might do that with that table as well, and then screenshots of some of the things over here, not the instructions, but just like this one here, it's got a table for all of the units that you're using in the Sea Lion set. You know, I might, so I'd have 2 of these in there. Oh, I forgot to show you this. Also in this box here with is the Croatia at War thing, right? So that is what I have, and that's all of that. So let's just get on here. Now there was one thing at the end there that I said, and we're going to get into that now. Before I get into the other thing. Okay, so at the very end here, I've actually put it on here. So the 1st and the 4th SS will act as if they were a Polizei unit. They increase partisan failure by 1. And then the 1st and 2nd Cossack Cavalry and the 8th Cavalry, they're also, they gain a +1 attack bonus during anti-partisan operations and act as a Polizei unit, increasing partisan failure by 1. So this is what you would do when you're using other expansion sets, is these things down here. So these are interesting because I think I would probably use partisans in just about every game I ever play of this now, unless I was teaching new players, and in the first game we wouldn't play with partisans. But otherwise, partisans are just a natural progression in this game. You'll find after you've played partisans. And so fascist Croatia, make the following changes, and it tells you the changes that you would make. And then multiple expansions, and that was that 101st, 102nd, 103rd heavy armor that I just showed you. It was saying that you can use any heavy armor for that. You don't have to just use the Tigers. So that is the last thing. But let me just show you here, because of the partisan. Now remember what it was, add +1 to the partisan failures. Now these are the partisan actions you can do, and this is just to remind you. So your recruitment, sabotage, resource disruption, receiving supplies, and invasion support. And failure, 12. So you would add +1 to that. So failure would be 11 or 12, 11 or 12, 11 or 12, 11 or 12. And this last one would be 9 to 12. And the reason for that is because you're a police unit. Those units are going to act as police units. And you remember where I showed you that I created some militia units as well, like the one in the Netherlands. Those are going to be police units as well. And that's basically what they were, right? They were police units, and what did police units do? Like, they weren't out prosecuting the war necessarily. What they were doing was controlling the population, and as part of the population were the partisans, right? And so although the SS militia are going to make the failure +1 as well. So in other words, 11, 12 failure, and then 9 to 12 failure for the invasion support. So that is with the partisans. Let me just get on here. I want to show you. Okay, advanced rules. Now, let's just put this down here. Now the advanced rules. So in addition, or in the advanced SS rules, the divisions change over time. A division might, for example, start out as an infantry, later become a mechanized, and ultimately end the game as an all-armored division. That's assuming it survives, right? Unlike the basic rules, there is no cost to place SS markers, but there are more stringent requirements for units being in the right place at the right time in order to get the upgrades, as paying costs to upgrade from one type of unit to another. Like you're going to place those units pretty much like I said, you know, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and everything. I think for the most part, the placement is the same. But the change is when you come to changing that. So let's see if there's another page on this one. Oh, okay. So then when you look here, January of 1942, July, January. So these are the changes that you would make. So you pay 1 IPP to upgrade the 3rd SS to a Panzer Grenadier in a supply path. The 4th, you could upgrade to SS Polizei to an SS Infantry division at no cost if in the supply path. So that's what you would do for the advanced. This is basically the difference is these changes here. You could change them. You might have to pay. You might get an automatic upgrade or whatever, right? So that's why I just gave you the basic rules. Like there's no point in me standing here and talking and talking and talking. Probably getting tired of my voice already in this video. But you see what I mean. Like you're going to place the units basically as I talked earlier, and then you're going to upgrade them. But those units need to be in a certain place at a certain time. Like you have to be, you have to have this unit in this place in order to upgrade it. This other unit in that place in order to upgrade it, right? Okay. Anyway, so I think I've gone through everything. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, I just want to show you one other thing. Now, what I had started doing was I had all of the stuff in one thing, all of the expansion sets in one box, right? And then I was wondering, well, how can I do this Elite of the Reich? And so what I decided was, why not just take the German ones out? And because I needed this wasn't enough for a box in itself, and why not just put them all together, right? So what I had before was all of the expansion sets in there, and what I've done also, like here, I'll show you something. Like I made up stickers. I took screenshots, and this one is obviously cropped, right? And I got it printed on sticker paper, and so that labels that. And this, that was taken off the Historical Board Gaming site as well. That's on sticker paper. And these are the expansion sets for the other ones. So there you go. There's a couple that I haven't done yet, like there's the 2 Ordnance ones there. And the Ordnance one, which I don't own, I haven't done yet. There's this one and this one I've still got to make videos for. And Oil Wars, but I don't have Oil Wars. I don't imagine I'll be able to afford it anytime soon. That's a pretty expensive one. But anyway, so that brings me to my point that I was going to make that, oh, there is 2 more, sorry. There's these ones. I thought these ones could be in their own box because there's Turkey at War, again, screenshot, cut it out. And there's all my Turkish units, except for the ones that are already on the board, right? And then the Spanish Civil War, because I found that, you know, like I putting them in the bigger box that I had for all of the expansion sets, it just was it was a pain in the ass digging that box out. So when it's time for Germany and Soviet Union to go, and they go back to back, just take this box out. It's small enough to put on the table and fight the Spanish Civil War, and then close the box up and put it away until Germany's turn comes along again, right? But anyway, one of the things that I can see as being a problem with playing this set, the Elite of the Reich, is not just the organization that you need, but also the imbalance that it would create. Now, what we looked at there, you get 60 chips, and basically those 60 chips is going to give any unit that you put on there a +1 attack and defense. Like, who's going to want to attack Germany, right? In Germany, you'd think they would just be able to just kick some ass all over here. Like like once they take Fortress Germany here, you know, and they got all those black chips all over the place, what are you supposed to do? You know, how do you fight against that? So what I'm thinking is that you're going to need to balance the game out, and that's why I've decided to show you this at the end, because one way you can balance the game out is by using another expansion set or 2, but I don't think that that's going to be good enough even, because when you look at them, like who really is going to be in tough against Germany is going to be the Russians, right? I'm just trying to move all the pieces of paper here because I want to show you something. The Russians are going to be in tough, and there are no expansion sets for the Russians. Like, there's expansion sets where the Russians use them, right? There's Winter War, but I mean, even that makes it, that's not going to make it any easier for the Russians. There's the railways, but then Germany gets to use the railways as well, you know, the elite fighters, the subs, all of these things, partisans, all of these things are not really an advantage for the Russians. And I certainly think that the elite of the Reich is going to be an advantage, a big advantage for Germany. One of the things you can do, and that's this set up here, and I'm going to make a video for this one up here, that is Alaskan warriors. And basically what Alaskan warriors, and what you'll find when I make that video this weekend, is another avenue of Lend-Lease for the Americans to get units over to Russia. And so I'm thinking maybe instead of making the countries pay the cost, because America and Russia will have to pay the cost to use this expansion set, maybe give them that set for free. But even then, you know, like this is a three-sided game. There's the Allies, the Axis, and the Comintern. So even if you helped Russia out, well, what are you going to do for the Allies too? So like we've got American minorities at war. But again, looking at all of these things here, they're involved in most of them, right? But there's no advantage to any of them. U.S. war plans, maybe, you know, like you could throw that one in there. But the problem with the American minorities at war and the U.S. war plans is that the elite of the Reich is going to start in 1939. You're going to start placing black chips in 39. I mean, you get the one in 36, but all of them will start getting placed in 39. Whereas the Americans, they're not going to start until late in the game. And even then, like, you got to roll the dice to see if you get the chip, right? So you might not even get that chip. So that's not even going to even it up. But that's something that you can do. Like you could use the American minorities, or you could use the U.S. war plans to help even it up. And then what I'm thinking for the Russians, like you could use, again, you could use the Alaskan warrior, but I don't know that that's going to help too much. Like it's going to help a little bit, but that's going to take away from the Allies, because then the Americans are going to be spending money and giving it to the Russians, right? So one of the things that I created in Axis and Allies, I've got a whole set of house rules, and if you go back on my channel, you can find General Hand Grenade's house rules. One of the rules that I created was a rule called sorry, I was just looking, I was trying to find it. Okay, there it is right here. A rule called Tankograd. What Tankograd was, it was an enormous factory. Actually, there was 3 factories, and it was in a town up in the Ural Mountains here. So they had everything they needed. They had the rail lines that went through there, so they could transport the stuff. They had the metals in there because they were mountains. And of course, it was easy for them to get the workforce there. So the town went from a tiny town to a town of over 100,000 people overnight, basically, as they moved their factory production from up here, where the Germans were attacking, to back here. And this is where they made tanks. So what I did in my game was I gave them an extra factory and said that they could build 3 armor units out of that factory for 3 armor units per turn for $1 cheaper. Now this piece here is, you don't have to use this piece, but this is a tractor factory. And that's basically what that was. It was a huge tractor factory, like farm tractors, right? And they turned it into a tank factory, making various different kinds of tanks. So what I'm going to do maybe when I play with the elite of the Reich, and I think that this is really going to help balance it, is create this rule and use something for a factory. And I'm going to use this one, but it's a free one. So when Germany and Russia go to war with each other, you place this factory for free. Then you can build 3 armor units here for 1 IPP cheaper. You can't use this factory for any other reason. Like you can't build mechanized infantry here. You can't build planes here. You can't build dudes here. You can only build up to 3 tanks here, and that's it. And those tanks, no matter what kind of tank it is, whether it's a Tiger or it's a medium or it's a light armor, they will be 1 IPP cheaper, and you will be able to build them here. And then, you know, then they just fight the game as normal, right? So you might want to also put another type of factory here, like you get to move your factories or torch them. You could move a factory back here as well, right? So that you can build dudes here, because you do not want to lose this. Once you lose this factory, then it's gone from the game. And so you got to remember, like, people can come up from over here, or the Japanese can come from over here. So you don't want to lose this factory. But this factory in this location is going to work out pretty well, because, you know, you've got your rail lines. You can move your tanks all the way down to fight Japan. You can move them all the way up to here to fight. And plus, they go 2 spaces. So, you know, look, you can go 1, 2 into Moscow, right? 1, 2, you can get them down here. 1, 2, you can get them into Stalingrad. So going through this territory here. So that will help even the game out, because like I said, it's the Russians that are going to take the brunt of the elite of the Reich, because the elite of the Reich, in case you hadn't noticed, are all ground troops. There's no boats, there's no planes, and so, you know, these guys over here are not going to be affected that much. The French, of course, will be, but the French were going to be toast anyway, right? It's these guys over here that are in big trouble if you're playing with that set, and so this will help out. This will give you an extra 3 units that you can build for one thing, because, you know, like you only have a certain amount of factory capacity, so that's going to add it by 3, and it's going to give you armor units for 1 IPP cheaper. And that's what I'm going to do in my game when I play Elite of the Reich, so that's what I will do. Anyway, have I talked long enough? This video is certainly long enough. I likes my long videos though. So I'm going to for sure do this set this weekend. That's and maybe I'll do the submarine one. And I'm almost done. You know, like I've almost done every single expansion set. I've just got a few, and like I said, I haven't done Oil Wars. I don't have Oil Wars, I don't have Ordnance. I could do Netherlands because I've got everything to do with Netherlands, the Netherlands one, but I didn't actually receive the Netherlands set. But I've got all the chips and everything that I need, so I could do the Netherlands as well. I haven't done that. I won't be able to do the Oil Wars. Maybe next winter I'll be able to afford, and who knows, maybe they'll have some more sets out by then. But this has been Elite of the Reich, and I hope you enjoyed that. I noticed when I looked just before I started this, they have 25 of these sets in stock right now. So if you have this game, I highly recommend this set. But I also highly, highly recommend that you do something to organize yourself if you're going to play this set. Don't make your friends sit there for hours while you're looking for the 13th SS Mountain Infantry chip. You know, like find some way to organize yourself. Whether you do it like me or whether you have your own way, just do something. So that's it. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.